a chance before I
Thank you for viewing. I'm Ken Laffler, and today we're at the old KEA Mill in Murrieta, or more precisely, historic downtown Murrieta. The mill was built on the historic Murrieta Creek, which also has its share of stories, and also wildlife. Beavers, coyotes, skunks, rabbits, rattlesnakes all inhabit this area. The mill was built in the 1920s and was used mostly for sand and also grain. The sand and gravel were mostly mined at the Murrieta Sand and Gravel Pit, which is now the Colony. This was transported to Clay Street and was loaded from the elevators onto the train. The tracks can be viewed, or actually were able to be viewed, over where the street is, but have now been paved over. I've tried to hike back there to see if the tracks are still there, but I was unable to find them. But there was quite a bit of debris from the mine and from the mill also. There's large blocks of concrete that are still remaining. Let's see, now I'm going to climb up onto the first loading dock, and I believe I trip here. And this would be your loading area. Off to the right is an office, which was used as the office building, and then there's another loading dock. Oh, I tripped there. Oops. There's another loading dock over to the side. Across the street is the old school building. School building was built in the 1880s and burned down in the 1920s, was rebuilt, and then burned down again in 1984. There's talk of making it into an historic museum, which I think would be a good idea. Unfortunately, I got a little barbed wire, so I apologize. But this is the old school building, and it has sort of a Hawaiian motif to it, as you can see with the palm tree. Stories about the mill and also the school involve a girl in a blue dress who supposedly jumped from the top of the mill and committed suicide. Although there are varying stories as to what happened. That is the most commonly recited. So she supposedly crosses between there. I was told by a Caltrans worker one time that a girl in a blue dress ran in front of his car, and he did not know the story, so he was reiterating it. But obviously a girl in a blue dress ran in front of his car. And here's the sign for the KEA Mill. And the mill is about 100 feet high, or 10 stories. And there's 3 windows. You supposedly can see the girl in the blue dress from the second window. And I have actually seen motion up there and movement. There's no way of accessing the top. The stairs were burned in a fire, I believe, in the 1990s. And the areas upstairs were accessible at one time, but no longer are, and supposedly just comprise small rooms up there. But she can supposedly be seen there. I was there filming the other night about 12 o'clock, and I heard a very strange sound coming from the windows, and it sounded like a crow, and as we all know, crows don't come out at night. So I found it rather odd. Once again, back across to the old school building. The railroad tracks are paved under right where the pavement is, and there's a ditch there where obviously the tracks probably ran across, and then all the way back. The mill can be found on Clay Street by taking KEA to Washington, crossing Washington, and then going up 2 streets, and looking to your left, you'll see the large concrete building. The building is built of a honeycomb-shaped design, which was used in shoring up mine shafts. This gives the structure a very strong construction. And stories are that the mill was scheduled for demolition in the 1990s, but the amount of dynamite needed to demolish the mill would have blown out the windows in a 2-mile radius. So obviously this was discontinued. As you can see, the mill is quite a large structure. It's about the size of a pretty good sized dam, and it's sort of a monolithic shape. And I'm zooming in on the sign. The mill apparently reached its peak of production in the 1950s and eventually was closed in the 1990s. And someone tried to actually scale down the side of the mill on a drug called PCP and fell the full 100 feet and broke their back. And this is where the helicopter landed to medevac them. Now this, I believe, was for repairing trains. I believe the train was pulled up here and they were able to work from underneath, but I could be wrong, although those do look like train tracks. And they do look like standard gauge. This goes down quite a few feet. Care should be taken at this site. In fact, actually trespassing is prohibited and I don't encourage it. I'm only filming this to preserve the site. But as you can see, it's quite an imposing structure. The interior is no longer accessible. It's been completely blocked off, but it mostly comprises a large square area with quite a bit of graffiti, which in and of itself is quite interesting, although it's doubtful it will be ever accessible again due to the concrete. But once again, here this I just this looks like it was used for trains. But like I said, I could be wrong. But it does go down quite a ways. It goes down about 4 or 5 feet. So care should be taken when investigating this site. And now we're going to go around the side, and we're going to be visited by the local indigenous dog population. Here they are. Bark, bark, bark. There they are, protecting their place. They're feeling though, wagging their tails. Hey, hey there. And here's one of the doors that used to access the bottom area, which is mostly pillars, and there's quite a few bats and things in there. It's an interesting shot with light refraction, I think, and no special effects were used. The girl can mostly be seen in the front area. I believe there's windows in the back too, but it seems to be mostly in the front windows. And there are people who have told me they have actually seen her. And this is a old loading platform. Also, it's a small ramp which leads up to the office area. And as you can see, it was quite a beautiful day in Murrieta. And there's some of the blocked off windows and doorways. I once took a friend to see this, and they became so scared they jumped out of the window and ran to the car. Uh, there's definitely a feeling of some type of presence here. That would be my experience. As you can see, there's the windows on the other side, but the girl's mostly seen on the other side. And as you can see, it is of a honeycomb shaped design. And as I stated before, that was used in mining and gives the structure quite a bit of strength. You can see some of the signs of the fire when the stairs burned, although it's rather hard from this angle. Now I'm headed towards the other loading platform. There's a good sized drop here. One should be very careful in this area. And here's some old nails that I noticed. And those are probably at least 60, 70 years old. They're quite old nails. And as you can see, the area here that I was speaking of is covered over with plywood. And the plywood is not in good shape, so one should be careful not to step on there. And it goes down quite a few feet, and I'm going to get a shot. It's rather dark down there. But there's just a bunch of junk, mattresses, and things like that. But as you can see, it goes down a good 6, 7 feet, so care should be taken. I don't know what this was used for. And as you can see, there's a mattress and there's the plywood, so one should take care when examining the area. There's quite a few places to fall. This is part of the old office. As you can see, quite a bit of it's been cemented, almost all of it. And there's a nice shot of Murrieta. Very pretty day in Murrieta. And here's my Jetta right there. And I have never seen rattlesnakes in the area, but I imagine they are there. So you should take care for those too. And one should never kill a rattlesnake because they are an endangered or a protected species. So I believe it's illegal to kill rattlesnakes. One should just back away from them. And looking back out to where the train came from, an old eucalyptus tree. Right, there's the key mill. And as I said, she can be seen from that window and jump the full 100 feet right to about there. or at least that's the most commonly recited story. I have heard other versions of the story, but that's the most common. And I believe we're getting close to the end of our documentary. And this was our trip to the KEA milling plant in Murrieta, or as I said more precisely, historic downtown Murrieta. And once again, you can locate the mill at KEA and Washington. Go 2 blocks up further and look to the left, and you will see the large building. To see the old school building, turn on the first street, and it's directly there. And also makes for a very interesting site to view. It's actually quite an interesting archaeological site, really. It would be over 100 years old, making it a historic archaeological site. And also the mill, which is coming up on its 100th anniversary. So, in conclusion, this is our trip to the mill. And once again, it is a valuable historic archaeological site, and nothing should be moved, nothing should be taken out of place. If you do that, it's very difficult for anyone to study it in the future. So one should take care when visiting this site. This is Ken Laffler signing off. Thank you for viewing. This was the KEA Mill in Murrieta.
Well, I said it before, and I say it again. You get nothing for nothing.